Hey everybody and welcome. My name is Dr. Heather Carden and welcome to Ask Dr. Heather. If you're brand new to my page, welcome for joining me. I actually started this page about 9 years ago because I was having a lot of patients asking me questions about this or with that or how to make that, or as 20 years ago we opened up our office. I am the co-owner of Carden Center for Wellness. There was no Google, search engines, internet. That stuff was just barely evolving. So as technology has evolved, so have people questions and honestly confusion, because now we have so many avenues to search whatever it is we're looking for. So what I do on Ask Dr. Heather here on this page is I strictly base it on questions that you guys send me. So people send me lots of messages, what about this, what about that? So I want to just give you some well-rounded current information to help really eliminate some of the confusion. I know right around the holidays there can be tons of things. Stress can do a lot of erosion. It can actually into our bodies. It can cause anxiety, it can cause depression, it can cause hormone disruption, because number one, the sun's going down. You can see it's already dark here. I was gonna actually do this from my kitchen because the snow was so bright and shiny, but it just went away within just a few minutes. So I do want to talk about hormones today as we lead into this, and know that definitely sunlight has a lot to do with our brain activity. So when we talk about hormone, we know that our body is in a triad of health. That means there's three major factors that really influence our health. There's a mental emotional component, there's a structural component, and there's also the chemical or food component. So I'm strictly just going to start talking about some imbalances that you might be noticing if you have an estrogen, progesterone, testosterone imbalance. I'm really going to focus on testosterone today because I've been getting a ton of questions on testosterone, not only for men but for women. It's getting very vogue right now for people to go have pellets or testosterone pellets put in their behinds or in their glute or just above their skin to actually increase their testosterone ranges. Testosterone for women should be about 26 to 33, and I'm honestly seeing people having testosterone levels, women, in the 2, 3, and 4,000 range. That is way too high. What happens is when you have one hormone that's really high, it actually suppresses the other ones that your body actually needs. We know we take cholesterol, we break it down into pregnenolone, which breaks down into DHEA, which is our anti-aging hormone. Testosterone has a lot to do with our virulence, our muscle composition, and then estrogen and progesterone. So I'm just going to talk about a few ways that low testosterone can affect our overall health, both males and females. We know that for heart health that we definitely need to have a nice amount of testosterone for women, and then again virulence for men. So can low T actually affect cardiovascular disease? Absolutely, because if you're having low testosterone, the chances is you're having high estrogen. Estrogen's major job is to deposit fat. So when we start depositing fat, we start gaining more weight, which actually decreases our bone quality, our mass to bone ratio, which can lead to cardiovascular events. We also know that low testosterone with high estrogen, because carbohydrates stimulate aromatase. Aromatase is an estrogenic compound. I should have a dry erase board. I probably will do that next time. But that can lead to a lot of cardiovascular events because, again, obesity leads to heart disease. We also know that low testosterone leads to low muscle tone. Our heart is also a muscle, so that can lead to cardiovascular events. We also see that as we start to have lower T, we see the rise in diabetes. Why is that? Because of the relationship between estrogen and aromatase. So I'll probably put a little blog down here about aromatase. It's a really common question. We know that we use, with men having low T, they'll use an aromatase inhibitor, or with breast cancer survivors, male or female, they'll use an aromatase inhibitor because that inhibits estrogen. Did you know that if you start reducing your carbohydrates, you'll start inhibiting your own aromatase naturally? We also know brain health has a lot to do with it. I talked to somebody last week that thought they were having depression. We did a little further look into their blood work, and their vitamin D was low, which has a lot to do with brain health and cognition. We also know their magnesium is low magnesium. Magnesium's our body's natural tranquilizer. That can also cause anxiety or depression. We also know that low testosterone can cause cognition. Again, think of it like a muscle, because we know that testosterone is secreted or signaled from our pituitary to our gonads, also to our adrenal glands, which is the engine for our body. So low testosterone can lead to low concentration, low motivation, just have no ambition because you have no energy, because they're very much related. We also know that low testosterone, just like high testosterone can cause anxiety and anger and agitation, low testosterone will do the same thing because your body's trying to override that. So when you look at symptoms of low testosterone, testosterone or anxiety or depression this time of year, know that it can be low testosterone, high estrogen, or low DHEA or vitamin D. These are simply diagnosed from a very easy blood test. It's not a lot of work you have to do. You just have to get the right blood work done. We also can talk about sexual dysfunction and libido and virility, but I'm really just going to focus on brain health because we know, again, testosterone is secreted from our pituitary gland, which tells our testes or ovaries what they need to do. The brain does regulate that production. Then we start to talk about fatigue, athleticism, stress fractures. We know that estrogen imbalances can cause osteoporosis. It's true for men and true for women. So if we see low T or high estrogen, we know that we can cause a lot of imbalance between our muscle mass to bone ratio. So super important to get that checked out. And oftentimes people are like, well, I'm not overweight, but my testosterone's low. What could it be? Well, it could be you're one of those lucky people who can eat lots of carbohydrates and not gain any weight, but you're actually gaining visceral fat, or you're eating foods like dairy and soy, which actually increase estrogen production. So to look at that, let's just talk about a few foods that we should eat. So we know we should not eat carbohydrates. We shouldn't eat processed sugar because those actually increase aromatase, which increases estrogen, which decreases progesterone. So we also know that things like oysters and sardines, salmon, garlic and onions, lots of walnuts, nuts and seeds, eggs, macadamia nuts, pumpkin seeds and sunflower seeds are also really high in zinc. Avocados and olive oil, really, really heart healthy and also very good for your body's natural testosterone. We know our body's its own pharmacy. If you give it the right food, it can break down and make those essential nutrients. So again, foods to increase testosterone and to help balance out estrogen: sardines, oysters. I know those are hard for some people to eat, but everyone I think can eat salmon or garlic. Again, steak, who wouldn't love a nice prime rib? It's really high in choline, which is great for your brain. Same thing with raw egg yolks. If they're organic, you can get a lot of choline, which is super great for your brain. And then again, those nuts that are really well balanced, like Brazil, walnuts, macadamia nuts, and zinc is super important for testosterone production. You find those in pumpkin seeds, also find them in olive oil. What should you avoid? We already talked about that: processed sugar, prepared foods, dairy and soy, super estrogenic. Think about this for a minute. Dairy only comes from a girl cow. It only comes through a hormone process. So when it's labeled hormone free, all that means, and I am a dairy farmer's daughter from Kansas, so definitely know what the milking process is all about. It means when they fed those cattle or those girl cows, those dairy cows, they did not give them food that was boosted with extra things for estrogen. So when they say it's hormone free, that means they didn't give them any feed to actually boost their milk production. But we know that lactation only happens in a girl cow and only happens through a hormone process. So it is best to get raw organic milk if you're going to do it. Goat's milk and sheep milk are preferred over cow's milk. Buy it local, buy it from a farmer that you trust. So eliminating those can actually help. Also, a lot of artificial sweeteners, high fructose corn syrup will again stimulate aromatase, which stimulates estrogen, which will drive down low T. So super simple recipe again. And also we start talking about this, we talk a lot about intermittent fasting. I'm going to touch more on this. I think this Saturday, I've got a little keto 101. We'll talk about how we get started with intermittent fasting. But what studies and science have shown that men fast for 24 hours. Again, never to make any dietary changes without checking with your healthcare provider first. If men fast for 24 hours, they actually increase their human growth hormone 2,000% naturally. That means no creams, no gels, no drops, no pellets being surgically implanted in your arm or your behind. Your body naturally does that because you're taking away the carbohydrates, you're balancing out the estrogen. Then your body says, you know what, I can actually really start making human growth hormone. Think about kiddos that sleep 12 to 14 hours a day. So if we can fast maybe one session a month or 2 times a month, if you have low testosterone with your doctor's supervision, men will increase their human growth hormone 2,000%. Women, not fair, but still a really good rate, 1,300% fasting. So you can look that information up. I also will post that a little bit later on tonight as the questions come in. But simply doing just some intermittent fasting, listening to your body, eating when it's hungry. Because if your body's digesting food from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m., there's no time to make processed hormones. And then again, what happens is if you're feeding your body 4, 5, 6, 14 times a day, whether it's a mint or a snack or a piece of gum or a cracker or popcorn, you're still stimulating that aromatase activity, which drives down low T. We also know that sleep has a huge component with how our body rests and repair. Cortisol is very strongly related to testosterone, and then how our brain, receptors to the rest of our body. I'm trying to make it super simple. So we know that if we don't get enough sleep, which is less than 7 hours of solid sleep, so not just laying down for 7 hours, but actually getting in that theta sleep, that stage 3, stage 4 sleep, our cortisol will reset and recycle. Cortisol is driven from, part of the brain and part of the adrenal glands, which also is very closely linked to testosterone and estrogen. So if we can get the body resting, we also know it'll recycle the cortisol. Our body will say, let's boost up that testosterone, let's not use that fight or flight hormone estrogen, and we won't deposit as much fat. We know there's a strong correlation between high levels of cortisol and visceral fat being deposited. So sleep, sleep, sleep. Also identifying your stress. Maybe you are getting enough sleep throughout the day, you're getting 7 to 8 hours, but your day is so stressful that even maybe you're not eating 14 hours a day, but that emotional stress can be actually triggering a lot of other symptoms. So we talk about being, everything needs to be a balanced triangle or a triad of health. So that mental emotional component would be reducing stress throughout the day, getting enough sleep, keeping gratitude positive. I actually was going to do something on gratitude, and there was like 57 benefits of actually doing a gratitude journal every night. So they did studies of people doing a gratitude journal 6 to 8 weeks. It actually balanced out their hormones, because hormones are feel-good hormones. If you're a female and been pregnant, let me know how many times, if you've had 4 kids, 2 kids, 3 kids, let me know if you're a mom, because you know what happens, or a dad, if you're up when the kids are little and babies, you're up and down all night, your hormones can be a mess, you can be an emotional mess, you can have anxiety, you can have depression, you can be weepy. All that stuff happens because you're not getting enough sleep, and then your body's not able to reset those cycling hormones. We also know that overworking out, I know people think, oh, the more I work out, the better it's going to be, but if you start to look at female, when they actually overwork out, they start to lose their cycles because their body says, I've got to save that energy for my brain and my heart. I don't need to be exercising 3 or 4 hours a day. So you really have to listen to your body. If you start getting symptoms, male or female, I'll give you those signs again of possibly low testosterone. Maybe you're not being able to, hit a personal record. You used to be able to do 100 push-ups. Now you're actually crashing or bonking at 70 push-ups or sit-ups, or maybe you used to be able to get through a whole kickbox or yoga class, and now you're actually not getting there at all because you're too tired. Very simply, it can be something like low testosterone, and we're finding it more and more. Why are we finding it more and more? Because of the processed food in the 70s and the 80s and the 90s, and then all this vogue, implant of hormones, and how higher we're driving up those hormones. What happens when those 90-day hormones run out, whether it's a depot we're using for birth control or testosterone pellets that people are using, or the aromatase inhibitors, at some point when you have to stop using those hormones, because you shouldn't use them until you're 80 or 90 years old. And I do see people in their 70s still trying to mimic their hormone cycle like they're 30, trying to get those anti-aging effects, where we know that if we actually change the diet, change our attitude, again, just a 4 or 5 degree shifts, not just making everything 180 shift, but just a little shift at a time, and get that sleep component in, then your body will actually start to normally balance out. Remember, our body is its own pharmacy. We give it the food. Our body breaks it down. What food? We talked about those healthy, high-fat foods, those nuts, those seeds, the oysters, steak, sardines, all those things that are high in omega oil. Cholesterol breaks down to pregnenolone, which breaks down to DHEA, which is our anti-aging hormone, which shifts out. And I'll post the chart down below after some comments about how it makes estrogen, progesterone. Well, it can be shifted either way, whether you're making more estrogen or making more testosterone, based on our sleep, based on our stress, and based on the foods that we're eating. So I hope that really helps sum up some of those symptoms that you may be feeling. I'm getting a lot of questions again on low testosterone the last couple of weeks, also asking me to speak on anxiety and depression. I think testosterone is something that often is missed or skipped out, especially for females. We look at those levels should be anywhere from 3 to 45. Anything higher than 45 is a PCOS symptom, and we talk about PCOS in another video being insulin or diabetes of the ovary. For females, we start talking about men, it can be the same for the testes. Too much sugar causes estrogen. So the same thing happens when we start talking about PCOS. So high testosterone can also be a high carbohydrate diet in women. I know it's a little bit confusing, high or too low, but know that range really should be anywhere from 26 to 33 for women. And then for men, if you start pulling down blood work, anywhere from 20 to 1100. Again, it's all based on age. We know it should be around 200 if you're 90 years old. If you're 50 years old, it should be around 500 to 600. So I'll also post those numbers as well, what those mean and averages are for men or women. And again, I think the solution is lifestyle changes first, because again, you don't want to go every 3 months and keep getting artificial pellets put in your body, because your body's supposed to make those own hormones given the food. So as you change your diet, things definitely get better. I was talking with someone yesterday, and her husband's 50 years old, and she's like, his testosterone's gone up like 200 points. What did he do? Intermittent fasting. He stopped snacking all day. He didn't gain or lose a bunch of weight. He simply started listening to his body, putting an intermittent fasting cycle in, and eating healthy greens and meats and nuts and fats. So again, we make our hormones from fats that we eat. If you're not eating the fat, your body can't break it down and make the hormones that it needs. Or conversely, if you're eating an antagonistic food like a carbohydrate or sugar, your body is not going to make the testosterone that it wants. So I'm just going to buzz through those symptoms again, but would love to know how many kids you guys have had, because that plays a lot into our hormones, whether you're a mom or a dad or uncle or grandpa. A lot to do with how our hormones are stressed, because if you only have one kid, you probably only spent 2 years getting up all night. If you've got 4 kids like myself, you spend a lot of years getting up and not sleeping. It takes a while to regulate those hormones. So low testosterone can actually increase your risk of cardiovascular disease. It can increase your risk of diabetes. It can increase your risk of mental health disorders like anxiety, depression, lack of cognition, lack of function, increased anger, agitation. We also know it can decrease virility or libido, if you want to say that. Again, motivation, ambition in life, low testosterone can also play in that. And people think, well, they're depressed. No, they're actually just low in testosterone, a hormone that naturally plays on that. Susie, 7 kids, you're amazing, mom. So it's fun to see those grow up. So we also look at athleticism and muscle health. So we know there's a big correlation between estrogen and testosterone and muscle mass. Again, a lot of people just want to focus on their biceps and their pecs and their quads. We also want to focus on our heart being a muscle and how much low testosterone can actually affect our cardiovascular effect. Why are 80% of people passing away due to cardiovascular disease? Not necessarily high cholesterol, right? But cardiovascular disease. So that's a huge thing. We also look at osteoporosis. We see a lot of people in their 40s and 50s getting stress fractures in their feet or their knees or their ankles or their hip bones, and they're in pretty good shape. Why is it happening? They're actually getting osteoporotic because they're still eating a high carbohydrate diet, which leads to high estrogen, which leads to osteoporosis and increase in net body fat and decrease in bone mass. So I hope this helped answer or cleared up some questions for you. I love you guys sending me questions, because that's how I know what you want to talk about, and I want to make it as simple as possible, short and sweet as possible. Please know this is meant to be shared with friends or family members that may be experiencing this. We are going to really focus a lot on really anxiety and depression. I'm going to cover just some symptoms of vitamin D, because we start talking about low testosterone causing anxiety or depression. Low vitamin D can cause anxiety or depression. Food allergies can also cause a lot of depression as well. Blue lights, not getting enough natural sunlight, can cause depression and anxiety. Mineral imbalances as well. So we see that low or high potassium, low sodium is adrenal dysfunction. That can also cause some depression. So know that there's not one size fits all, but when you start looking at how your body's feeling and you start noticing what's happening, a lot of times those answers come to you. And these are very simple routine blood tests that you can just ask your doctor to do or ask them to pull, especially if it's time for your annual exam. I know people, the time is ticking for your annual renewal starts over, your deductible starts over. So people are getting that end of the year lab work in, which can really be beneficial. So I want to thank you guys for joining me tonight. Hopefully I brought some value and some clarity to really what hormones are and what they aren't, and how they could be affecting your daily life, and you simply just dismiss them. Because what we do see is people may be fighting fatigue, low energy, and they're like, I'm still working out and doing this. What actually happens to be that we need to change the diet, need to get sleeping a little bit better. But again, let's see what we need to do for low testosterone. So what we do in our clinic just depends on what the numbers are, male or female in age. We do recommend all these lifestyles I just shared with you about sleep and attitude and food choices, but you can also actually do natural herbs. There's a whole variety of things like tribulus and zinc and vitamin D and saw palmetto, orchic. There's a whole bunch of different stuff you can use to actually enable your body and give it the ingredients to actually make the testosterone. What studies have shown, when you actually give your body synthetic testosterone, it says, hey, I don't have to make it, I'm getting it some other way, it's going to run down in about 90 days, and then time for me to get another implant or another bunch of pellets, where you can actually prime the pump, so to speak, and give your body things like alfalfa is great for your pituitary. Your pituitary tells your body to make testosterone, tells the testes what to make. Same thing with the adrenal glands. Lots of different herbs or adaptogens, B complexes, but again, it's all really we just look at a routine blood panel and say, okay, this is where we need to focus and where it is. So I do wish you the best of luck and love hearing your questions. We are going to cover immune system and cover allergies, because everyone's talking about allergies and sinus issues right now. So definitely going to cover that over the next couple days, and trying to mix in with some cooking videos. People seem to love the cooking videos. I get a lot of views, a lot of comments, a lot of that. And I am sorry that I don't always have the recipes posted on my blog. I am working to get that actually uploaded much quicker. It's not a talent of mine, I have to admit, but I do enjoy sharing just small tidbits of information that can really make a huge difference in your day, like just simply getting 30 more minutes of sleep, or simply just cutting out the dairy. Ditch the dairy for 6 or 7 weeks. See how you feel, or weed out the wheat, which means just get rid of it for a little bit. If you didn't see a video I did a couple days ago, it was with leftover turkey. You simply pick what your vehicle of food is. What does that mean? Do you want to eat your meat on a lettuce wrap? Do you want to eat it on a tortilla? You want to eat it on a crescent roll? Like, oftentimes just doing a little bit of this for that, and you'll see me posting that, can make a huge difference in your overall health. So I will post tomorrow's this for that. I won't do it tonight since we actually visited here tonight. But again, this is great. Please share this with other people that you know may be struggling from some of the things we talked about, really just not getting the bone mass, not getting the workout that they want, and maybe they just need to actually just check in and get their annual test done and see what their body's telling them, because generally what we say is that blood doesn't lie, and we'll tell you exactly where those imbalances are happening in your body. So you guys have a great evening. Thanks for joining me. I'm sorry that we missed the snow. I was trying to catch that. We'll still have snow tomorrow, but tomorrow we'll have a short this for that and kind of review that. So again, thanks for guys joining me, and have a super night.